Hey folks, Jordan Sheridan live here on a Monday, October 22nd. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. This is Status Coup, which we recently moved over my YouTube channel to Status Coup. And we are also in the home stretch of launching statuscoup.com. So stay tuned for that. Notifications sucking again. Please stand by, Status Coup. Well, thank you for the update, Covert White Rabbit. I do like your name. We are live on Facebook as well. So hello to our Facebook friends. Share the video, because Facebook certainly is not going to. Let me put the GoFundMe link here in the YouTube video. So if you're feeling charitable today, you can continue our GoFundMe. I'll give you updates on that. Support our reporting GoFundMe. Boom. There we go. Our GoFundMe right now. Give you an update. Should I give an update now or wait? I'm going to wait. But if you're noticing something, although hats don't particularly look good on me, the Status Coup hats that we're giving away as part of the GoFundMe have been delivered. So let me show you. I just got out of the shower, so my hair's a little messed up. Here is the Status Coup hat, embroidered, by the way, with the logo. It's also got some coloring in it. So the logo with the color of the logo. There you go. So we are going to start mailing those out as soon as possible for people who contributed $100 and asked for a shirt, as well as people who contributed $127. Again, $100 gets you a shirt or a hat, $127 gets you both, and for people who contributed even more than that, you're getting both. So, again, hat doesn't look great on me, but boy is it pretty. Oh wait, you couldn't see it. Here we go. Let me know if that's any better. What do you think of the hat? Doesn't look good on me because my head is not meant for that. GoFundMe link going in here. We are on pace to hit our goal for October, but we're going to need a little help. So I will get to that. I definitely will get to that. We are at, hold on. Let's see here. Okay, so we're at 12,695. Great numbers. 214 people. Thank you. We want to get to 15,000 by the end of October. We have 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. We got 9 days left in October, and we have, I'm not good at math, but about $2,300 left to go to make that happen. So every mountain came from climbing a few. I don't know if that's the right analogy. I'll think of a better analogy, but we got to crawl before we can work. Let's get to $13,000 by the end of today's live stream. I think we can do it. $100 gets you a hat or a shirt. $127 gets you both. Again, this is so we have the seed money we need to get out there in the field. Ty right now is a bit of a mess. I wish I could help him. His neck is super messed up. I was talking to him earlier, and he literally can't move. So we're not going in the field this week, but we will be going into the field as soon as he gets some relief. So please contribute. Now, share this video, and I want to start with the debate last night between Andrew Gillum, Democratic nominee for Florida governor, and Ron DeSantis, the Trump mini-me that's running for governor. I've already been attacked on Twitter today as trying to help Ron DeSantis get elected in Florida by daring to criticize Andrew Gillum. So before I even get to it, let me put down as a very clear disclaimer. Very clear disclaimer, okay? And then we're going to get to it, because I think you could do two things at once. Number one, I don't live in Florida, okay? So I don't know Florida's issues as well as people that live in Florida. That's number one. Number two, if I lived in Florida, to be clear, I would vote for Andrew Gillum, regardless of my reservations. Me covering Andrew Gillum and pointing out inconsistencies or moonwalking of his record is not to try and elect Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is worse. Ron DeSantis is way worse. Andrew Gillum would be significantly better than Ron DeSantis. So if you live in Florida, I don't tell people how to vote. I just tell you how I would vote. Okay? You vote for whoever you want. I think Andrew Gillum is better than Ron DeSantis. And I still think, Jermaine, how could you still vote for him? I don't get it. Well, I'll explain. I believe a national election is different than a state election. I do not believe in voting for the lesser of two evils on a national level. On a state level, I think it's a little different. And I'm going to get to why after I show these clips. However, I think what Andrew Gillum did last night in the debate, I don't know if it necessarily helped him that much. Because, unfortunately, it seems he has been listening to centrist Democrats and consultants. And basically what those consultants and centrist Democrats are telling him, you have to run as far, far away from the progressive policies you pushed in the primary. The progressive policies that helped him probably one of the bigger upsets this year, him winning the nomination. So, I want to play you two clips. This is not Andrew Gillum in the debate, the first one I'm going to play you. This is Andrew Gillum in early September on CNN. Listen to Andrew Gillum in early September on CNN.
But as a government official, you have to make it work, and you have to make the numbers work. So I still don't understand how you would do it without raising taxes.
So the first step we would take is expand Medicaid and pull down about $6 billion a year from the federal government. That's important. Secondly, as governor of the state of Florida, I would work to bring a number of the larger states into a conversation around how it is together we might be able to negotiate prices and access to health care to cover more people and ensure that even those of us who are insured, who are right now paying premium increases year over year over year, all because Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have worked overtime to make access to health care less affordable.
Will you say that you will not support raising taxes to make your health care plan work?
I will absolutely not raise taxes on everyday working Floridians to give access to additional
What about wealthier people?
So what I said, and I ran on this, by the way, is that we will increase taxes for corporations in our state who right now, just so you're aware, only 3% of companies in the state of Florida pay the corporate tax rate, 3%. And that 3% under the Donald Trump tax scam got a windfall of $6.3 billion overnight due to the tax reform that took place in Washington, D.C. We're not asking for all of it. We simply said we believe that we ought to bring $1 billion of that money back into the state's government because being a cheap date state has not worked for the state of Florida. And unfortunately, we've got to do that if we're going to be a leading state.
One more issue. We spent a lot of time, understandably, on health care and immigration. You have joined...
So, if you heard that, he said, I'll rewind it one more time.
So let me just get it this way.
Access to healthcare less affordable.
Will you say that you...
Governor of the state of Florida, I would work to bring a number of the larger states into a conversation around how it is together we might be able to negotiate prices and access to health care to cover more people and ensure that even those of us who are insured, who are right now paying premium increases year over year over year, all because Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have worked overtime
So in that interview, even that interview, he started walking away from Medicare for All. He started talking about pooling other states together to negotiate prices to cover more people. So that's far different than Medicare for All, where in the primary elections, he was very clearly saying we would have a state Medicare for All system if he was governor. So in that interview, he already was moving away from Medicare for All, okay? So you have, during the primary, Medicare for All, for everyone in Florida. You have, and he won on that message. You have, in that interview in September, we're going to work together with other states to negotiate and cover more people. That's not Medicare for All. So it has moved from Medicare for All, which he won on, to we're going to negotiate with other states to try and cover more people, to last night. Here's last night.
I'd like to turn to healthcare, if I could, Mayor Gillum. You'd like to ensure all Floridians through Medicare, not just those over the age of 65. Congressman DeSantis says you have a, quote, far-left socialist platform. Why is he wrong?
Well, he's wrong because he's wrong, but he's been wrong a long time. Here in the state of Florida, I am in favor, and I know Tom Lee is here in the audience. He was a member of the Senate that helped to pass Medicaid expansion in this state by 39-1 in the Florida Senate under Republican control, an effort that my opponent opposes. If we expand Medicaid here in the state of Florida, we will extend access to health care for over 800,000 of the most medically needy Floridians. 800,000. And by doing so, we'll be able to pull down $6 billion from the federal government that right now is being given away to other states because we philosophically disagree with getting folks access to health care. There are hospitals who want this. There are doctors. There are nurses associations. We can build Florida's economy simply by extending access to health care. And guess what? It's not only good for those 800,000 people who will get access. It's also good for folks like me and for small businesses who right now can't afford to get access to health care because, quite frankly, it's too expensive and out of reach. We're completely in balance with what are the concerns of everyday Floridians, which is why when I win this race, we're going to work diligently to expand Medicaid for over 800,000
So here's what people need to know. Andrew's for this concept Medicare for all, which is a euphemism. Because if you read it, it actually abolishes Medicare for seniors. It abolishes Medicare Advantage. It abolishes TRICARE. And as a veteran, I know that military families depend on it. If you get your insurance through your employer, it abolishes that. And it dumps all those people against their will, regardless of if they want to stay in their current plans, it dumps them on a single-payer government system. Taxes will go through the roof. We'll obviously face fiscal difficulties. It will hemorrhage money, and then the government will choose who gets the care and who doesn't. Floridians should have their care protected. Seniors should be able to stay with Medicare Advantage. They should be able to stay with Medicare. If you get it through your employer, you should be able to keep it.
Well, again, and I expect we'll hear a lot of this revisionist commentary in history this evening from Mr. DeSantis. But in fact, what we're proposing to do is to take $6 billion of money that ought to be coming to the state of Florida and to bring that money here to the state. Listen, there are Democrats and Republicans, folks on both sides of the aisle, who believe that this is the right thing to do. Mr. DeSantis, while in Congress, voted to
So I'm going to continue that. But I want to be clear. What he is talking about, and more importantly, what he's not talking about, is Medicaid expansion. He's not talking about Medicare for all. So look at the evolution of Andrew Gillum. You have gone from winning the primary in Florida, saying you're going to have a statewide Medicare for all system. Then on CNN, he says, we're going to talk to other states and try and negotiate prices to cover more people. Then in the debate, and it gets worse, you're about to see it gets worse, he talks about expanding Medicaid for 800,000 people, which, by the way, I think is a great thing. That should come first before even working to push Medicare for all. Like he said, the federal government had been offering, I think he said $6 billion or $6 million. I'd have to go back to states. Florida's Rick Scott, being a ludicrous extremist Republican, said no. So 800,000 of the most vulnerable people couldn't get health care. So I'm all for what he's talking about. However, what he's talking about is Obamacare. And what he's not talking about, or what he has moonwalked away from, is Medicare for all. Let's continue.
discriminate and allow insurance companies to discriminate against people based off of pre-existing conditions. If you're a cancer patient, if you have diabetes, if you are a pregnant woman in the state of Florida, that is a pre-existing condition. It's disqualifying.
Congressman DeSantis, you voted for the Republican health care plan in the House, which would have stripped Obamacare's protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Do you believe insurance companies should be allowed to charge more to people who have pre-existing conditions?
Pre-existing conditions should be covered in that bill. They were required to be covered. It just gave states the ability to be able to do that in a way that would lower premiums for other people. Here's what I would say as governor. If somebody somehow falls through the
By the way, just on DeSantis, and I'm going to get to why DeSantis is so terrible too. Do you notice when he lies, if you watch the debate, when he lies, he talks really quick. So that was a lie what he said, that the Trump healthcare bill and the Republican healthcare bill, it had pre-existing conditions in there, but it allowed states to opt out if they blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's lying, so he's kind of like just mumbling bunch of mumbo jumbo nonsense. And Republicans do that very well. Trump does that very well. They speed up their talk. So they got Ron DeSantis there saying, yeah, the healthcare bill, it had pre-existing conditions. It just allowed states to opt out if blah, 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 blah. Back to Gillum.
If there's a change in law federally or a court decision, I will sign a bill to take care of people with pre-existing conditions. We need to take care of those folks. But you know what? I know people in the military, families with people with pre-existing conditions who are on TRICARE. Andrew's running away from Medicare for All, but he ran commercials in the primary saying how he was for it. Medicare for All takes away TRICARE. It forces military families onto a single-payer government plan. So here's the thing. I want protections. I want to have a lot of things for plans, but you actually have to have access to a physician. You can't get stuck on a waiting list. Under a single-payer plan, man, that'll make the VA waiting list look like the Fast Pass at Disney World.
Mayor Gill?
Listen, Mr. DeSantis wants to correct his record now, but for 6 years while in Congress, he voted over a dozen times to repeal the ACA. He voted to allow insurance companies to discriminate against people based off of pre-existing conditions. For those folks who are at home, if you're sitting on the couch with one other person, between the two of you, probably one of you has a pre-existing condition. And this congressman would have allowed for insurance companies to discriminate against you based off of that pre-existing condition. He told a cancer patient who wanted to know, without insurance coverage, how would they get access to health care? He said you could always go to the emergency room. Now, we disagree on a lot, but on that statement alone, Congressman DeSantis is disqualified for the office of governor.
The point was, when you talk about this coverage, what does that coverage get you? The fact is, with Medicaid expansion, people didn't have access to doctors. Most physicians do not accept new Medicaid patients. So the reality is, you have people with that card, but they are going to the hospital for primary care. I don't think that's a good thing, but that, in fact, is the reality.
Healthcare is the major issue on Floridians' minds. Everyday Floridians are concerned about getting sick, because if they get sick in this state, they can't go to work. If they can't go to work, they can't earn a wage. If they can't earn a wage, they can't pay their bills. And when they don't pay their bills, something gets cut off.
Thank you.
This is not. This issue is deserving of our time, because this is not something we can just walk past. This is the issue that is at the top of mind for everyday Floridians, and we deserve to hear from the congressman exactly what his health care proposal is. He's been promising one for months. Nothing has come from his office.
On this.
Well, look, Andrew wants to take away employer-provided coverage. He thinks it should be illegal. You support Medicare for all. Read the bill.
Define
That's what
Medicare
it does.
for all.
You ran commercials saying you supported single payer.
Oh.
You said you would do a single payer confederacy with New York and California. Man, our taxes will go up and then we'll send all the money to California. That's not a good health care plan for Floridians. So I want to protect people's current arrangements. Government should not force you off your plans.
And neither would I. The congressman, again, his votes have deluded him into his own definition of what health care is.
So you don't support Bernie Sanders' Medicare
what
for
I
all?
support is expanding Medicaid for over 800,000 Floridians who deserve to have access to their own
If
doctor.
a single payer came to your desk as governor, would you sign it or veto it?
What I would do
Would you
is
sign it?
expand Medicaid
Would
for
you
over
sign the bill for
800,000
single-payer
of the most
health care?
medically needy people.
You wouldn't sign it?
I should also say this, because this is clearly fun and games for the congressman, but for me, I grew up having to wait for the free dental clinic to come through my neighborhood in order for us to get our teeth cleaned. As a child, I was accustomed to going into the emergency rooms because I thought that was the regular thing. I didn't realize you were supposed to have a doctor and have a regular relationship.
Thank you, Mr.
This
Mayor.
is not politics. This is real.
I want to turn to the economy. Congressman DeSantis.
This is not politics. This is real. And that's why I refuse to stand by the position that made me the nominee for the Democratic Party. Oh, God. First of all, and I'm going to answer, somebody had a question, well, why are you saying to vote for him in the first place? Number one, I want to be very clear. I don't tell people how to vote. Thank you, on the record, trucker. I'm covered by VA healthcare. It's already a single payer system. Thank you for the $5 in the super chat. And OTR Tucker also left $2. I too don't like hats. Can't you do a do-rag? I'll do whatever you want. Just keep contributing to the GoFundMe. And by the way, big announcement. We were just left, let's see what we're at. We were just left $300. We were just left $300 in the GoFundMe. Thank you. We are now $5 away from 13,000, obviously. So, hey, I wanted to get to 13,000 by the end of this live stream. Maybe we can get to 13.5. What do you say, folks? Keep it going. We'll put the links in the super chat. So, I want to make a few things clear. Number one, Andrew Gillum is very obviously taking advice from Democratic Party consultants, from Democratic Party politicians, and centrist people. He's also probably listened to pollsters who are telling him he can't run on Medicare for all. And that's why he is moonwalking faster than Michael Jackson. So there's two problems with that. And I'm sorry to say, and you could attack me if you want for the centrist Dems and some people, but that is an act of political cowardice. What we just saw was political cowardice. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, everything Ron DeSantis just said, it would be so easy. And frankly, Bernie Sanders, the reason he's so popular is because he's very easily able to articulate the truth because he stands for his convictions. Andrew Gillum could have easily said, well, if all the things you're saying are true, why is it that a new poll says a majority of the Republican Party, sorry, hold on, a majority,
Senator Sanders,
oh God,
make sure this guy gets elected to the United States Congress.
Hold on. Why is it that a new poll has 52% of Republicans support Medicare for all? Last time I checked, Ron DeSantis across the debate stage from him is the Republican nominee. Well, the majority of his base supports Medicare for all. So why is it that Andrew Gillum could have said, first of all, we would not raise taxes on middle-class Floridians to pay for single-payer. We would raise taxes on corporations to pay for single-payer health care, along with actually investing in education. Down the road, yes, we might have to raise taxes slightly on middle-class workers, but they would come out ahead because they would have zero deductibles, zero coinsurance, and zero copays, which Bernie Sanders articulated. Bernie Sanders has articulated this, and guess what? Medicare for all, shocker, has become more popular. Medicare for all has gotten to 70% approval among all Americans, 85% among the Democratic Party, and 52% among Republicans. So, devil's advocate, you might want to say, well, that's nationwide, Jordan. In Florida, that's different. Well, tell me what's so different. You have seniors in Florida who have Medicare. Nothing would be changed for them. You have a lot of young people. Florida has some of the most colleges in the country. They're pretty for Medicare for all. And you have, generally speaking, Florida is a swing state. So you have a mix of Republicans and Democrats, but Democrats have won. Obama won Florida twice. And if you look at Florida, health care is one of the biggest, most important topics and issues that is polled for this governor's race. So you're telling me Andrew Gillum, A, can't stand by his convictions and say, yes, I would, if elected governor, push and try and pass a Medicare for all system, and here's why. It would be cheaper for everyday people. It would cover all Floridians. It also would, dare I say, stimulate the economy, because if people have more money in their pockets, not going to deductibles, co-insurance, all medications, all these things, they could actually put it back in the economy. And I'm following the will of the people because I'm here to represent the people. 70% of Americans want Medicare for all. 52% of your party, Ron DeSantis, want Medicare for all. And then attack him for in that Republican bill, he voted to repeal it. But Andrew Gillum just let him lie and say, oh no, the Trump bill had Medicare for all. It was just, the Trump bill had pre-existing conditions. It just was, written in origami. I don't understand, other than Andrew Gillum is doing what Bill Clinton did. I mean, if you remember, Bill Clinton in the 1990s, and frankly, Barack Obama in 2008, ran a very, very progressive campaign in the primary and then sprinted towards the middle. The problem with that is then we're told, well, you have to vote for him anyway, because look who he's running against. And then you got a president or a governor or a senator or whatever that ends up giving you crumbs. And the reason I'm being critical on Andrew Gillum is not because I don't want him to win. To be clear, for anyone who has any questions, because on Twitter I was getting quite some animosity. If I'm looking versus Andrew Gillum versus Ron DeSantis, of course I want Andrew Gillum. If I lived in Florida, I would vote for Andrew Gillum. Some of you might not like that, but I'm telling you the truth. I don't tell people how to vote, so people should vote however they want. It's a free country. Well, they say it's a free country. That's questionable. However, the problem is the strategy has been a proven loser for Democrats. A new poll came out saying he's up 12 percentage points. I have a hard time believing that, considering a week and a half ago, it was basically a dead heat. But, okay, you want to say he's up 12 points? I don't really think he did himself any favors in that debate. Because although DeSantis was lying out of his teeth in many regards, and I'm about to show you one of them, he sounded like he had the courage of his convictions. His convictions are based on extremism, Islamophobia, and basically, holding Trump's extremities. But he sounded pretty passionate about it, whereas Andrew Gillum 2 times dodged whether he supports Medicare for all, and then later on he moonwalked on ICE and abolishing ICE. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. This is not a strategy. Moving away from progressive policies that you championed and why you won the Democratic nomination. Not a strategy that's going to help you win the general election. And whatever consultants are telling you, whatever the Democratic establishment is telling you, Andrew Gillum, and people who work for Andrew Gillum that are rationalizing this, well, politics is local and it's complicated in Florida, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, I've gone around the country. Politics in every state, in every local area I've been, is very complicated, and there's layers of corruption, but there's one truth. Authentic candidates who stick to their convictions are winning. I consider it a win, what Bernie Sanders was able to accomplish in 2016. And the reason Medicare for All is polling like it is because of Bernie Sanders. Yes, other groups who have championed it too, but Bernie Sanders is the one who has got it into the public sphere. Bernie Sanders is the one who has done rallies all around the country. Bernie Sanders is the one who has got out onto social media and articulated the policy the right way. And Bernie Sanders is the one who has stuck with his convictions. Same thing with Amazon. You think Bernie Sanders was like, Jeff Bezos is a dirtbag, but I'll be happy if he raises the minimum wage like $1? No, he shamed him. Let me tell you something. I do hope Andrew Gillum wins, but if he doesn't, I think that went a far way to depressing progressive turnout. So, some people ask in a live chat, well, why are you saying you would vote for him if he's basically being like Obama and other Democrats who are moonwalking away? Because I think a national election is different than a state election. So, for example, why I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I also didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, okay? I take the presidential election a lot more seriously because a president can start wars. A president's policies affect all Americans, not just one state. A president's policies affect the entire world, especially the president of the United States. So to me, we cannot keep perpetuating the lesser of two evils in the White House. The lesser of two evils gets you crumbs, indefinitely gets you crumbs. And share this video. We're almost at 200 live viewers. It's great. Share it, and on Facebook, share it. And Jen's putting in the GoFundMe in the chat the GoFundMe link. Keep that going. On a state is different. Okay, Andrew Gillum can't start a war as governor. Andrew Gillum's policies in Florida don't affect the entire country. Okay, And in Florida in particular, Florida is one of the most endangered states in the whole country as far as climate change. So if you're comparing to Andrew Gillum versus Ron DeSantis, there's zero competition. Andrew Gillum is way, way better as far as climate change, cleaning up aquifers that had toxic shit harming the aquifers down in Florida. You have the algae problem in Florida. Andrew Gillum is way better than Ron DeSantis. Is he moonwalking away from his progressive positions? He sure is. But if I was in Florida, we have to be adults. We have to be adults. He is better than Ron DeSantis. I also think Ron DeSantis, which I'm about to show you, is a total Islamophobe, and Ron DeSantis is pretty kind of emblematic of Trump. So, like I say, I don't tell people how to vote. If you're in Florida, you vote your conscience. I'm just telling you how I rationalize things. On a state level, the stakes are frankly a lot lower than the president. And I think if Andrew Gillum is president, and that means 800,000 more Floridians are going to get health care, that's worth voting for him, because it's not going to happen under Ron DeSantis. If Andrew Gillum is governor of Florida, and you could actually do some things to curb the effects of climate change, to help the environment that has been attacked, that's worth voting. That's worth voting for Andrew Gillum. But again, to be clear, and I said this during the election in 2016, I do not tell people how to vote. So some people are going to see this headline and be like, "Oh, Jordan, you're the reason Ron DeSantis is going to win." No, the bottom line is journalism, capital J journalism, doesn't take timeouts 2 weeks before an election so that the Democrat will win. Somebody recommended I do that on Twitter today. You know, Jordan, it's great, but you have to pick and choose when you're critical of the Democratic Party. Fuck that. No. I'm not going to pick and choose when I expose politicians being politicians. I'm not going to pick and choose when we expose corruption. And I'm not going to do something or not do something to prop up or knock down a candidate. I've said what I think. I think if I was in Florida, I'd vote for him. Period. I would. Thank you, Sway Ocean 99.99 in the super chat. Can't thank you enough. That is extremely generous of you. Thank you. The super chat funding has been amazing. We're finally drawing some decent revenue on YouTube, which is also going to help us to build this business. So thank you. This is a super chat, and keep the GoFundMe contributions going too. Sway Ocean says, "Eep, op, ork, ah." I don't know what that means, but I'll take it. So the bottom line is, if you're a Floridian, vote your conscience. But I will tell you this: if Andrew Gillum loses, I'm going to play that clip because I think that damaged him. When you forget whether you're right or wrong, when you look like you're dodging, when you look like you don't have the courage of your convictions, when you look like you're being timid and tepid, people notice that. Why do you think Al Gore, I mean, he didn't really lose, but why do you think it was even close between Al Gore and George W. Bush? Because Al Gore was a little weenie and corrupt. But he was a weenie, and he was dull, and he was boring, and he was a centrist Democrat, and he didn't want to call for progressive things. Whereas George W. Bush sounded like, he's tough. He's a cowboy. So, listen, Andrew Gillum, you got 2 weeks left of this election. If you want to listen to Democratic Party consultants, be my guest. But there's been a lot of candidates that have listened to Democratic establishment, centrist consultants over the last 10 years, and the Democrats have lost. What do you think? What do you think about Mr. Gillum's debate performance? I thought he was very good in some areas, and I thought, like I said, that he moonwalked away from his record in a lot of other areas, which we cannot have. So I don't want to only point out Andrew Gillum, because Ron DeSantis, if you watch that debate, is a despicable creature. I wouldn't even call him a human being. He is a creature. So here's a clip from Ron DeSantis, which basically shows that he is basically trying to use his military experience. He's a veteran, and wear it as a badge and try and make it seem that Andrew Gillum is attacking the military. It's total nonsense. Here you go.
recently announced it will boost employee minimum wage to $15 per hour by 2021. Mayor Gillum wants to raise Florida's minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2026. What do you think the minimum wage should be?
Well, first of all, I want Florida's
Wrong
economy
clip.
to
Wrong clip. Here we go.
The clever attempt to get away from the fact that Mr. DeSantis himself used to moderate a xenophobic, racist Facebook page.
Oh, that is not true.
It is, in fact,
That
the
is
truth.
not true.
Up until
See,
you
this is
became
what
the
the left wing
Republican
does.
nominee.
Let's do one at a time.
When you
we'll
became
come
the
back to you.
Republican nominee, your response was, I don't even do social media. That was after you got caught. You've spoken at conferences
Thank you,
where there have been racist
Jay,
and
let me
xenophobic
just
and
on the
anti-Israel
Facebook stuff,
It's his turn to.
on the Facebook stuff, you can get added to these things without consent.
the
I never
administrator?
consented to anything. Yes, you can.
Okay.
I never consented to anything. Once we found out about it, I just discontinued my Facebook thing. He mentions this conference. There was nothing wrong with that conference. I can tell you this, the keynote speaker at that conference was a Medal of Honor recipient named Clint Romeshay. And so you're going to impugn his integrity like you're trying to do mine. You've not worn the uniform. You don't know what sacrifice that takes. That man is an American hero, and I was proud to speak at the same conference that he spoke at.
Mr. Mayor?
Again, the congressman let us know exactly where he was going to take this race the day after he won the nomination. The monkey up comment said it all, and he has only continued in the course of his campaign to draw all the attention he can to the color of my skin. And the truth is, you know what, I'm black. I've been black all my life. So far as I know, I will die black. But this is the point. The only color that the people of the state of Florida care about is the blue-green algae flowing out of the east and the west side of this state, and they deserve a governor who is going to protect this environment after 20 years of environmental protection.
They also deserve a
Oh, God. What a disgusting, disgusting attempt by this Donald Trump mini-me, Ron DeSantis. Oh, I served in the military, and because, you're attacking me for speaking at an Islamophobic racist conference that happened to have a veteran there, well, I got news for you. Oliver North at Fox News is a veteran. There's a lot of veterans out there that are total racists. So thank you for your service, but you're still a racist. And you still spoke at an Islamophobic racist conference. Ron DeSantis also was an administrator on white supremacist Facebook pages. So that was, he's trying to, it's like reverse psychology, try to make it seem that Ron DeSantis, he's trying to make it seem that because Andrew Gillum is rightly criticizing him for speaking at this conference, that he's anti-military or that he's attacking a veteran. So transparent and such nonsense. Such nonsense. So I think actually that was a good answer by Andrew Gillum to point out I'm black and to point out that DeSantis is a dog-whistling racist. He is. That's part of why I think you should vote. Well, again, it's part of why I would vote if I were in Florida for Andrew Gillum. But dare I say, again, I don't think Andrew Gillum did himself huge favors in that debate. I think he seemed timid. I think it was obvious that he was moonwalking from certain positions. And frankly, he let Ron DeSantis get away with a lot of lies when he could have slammed him on many of those lies. So that's what I think. I also think at the end of the day, Ron DeSantis put a commercial forward with his children building a wall out of Legos, okay? There's something off with this man. He's not only a Donald Trump mini-me, but he basically exploited his children for a xenophobic TV commercial. He's a dangerous guy. I think Andrew Gillum is better. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't call out Andrew Gillum. It is political cowardice to move away from running on Medicare for all. Because although it would be a wonderful, wonderful step in the right direction to get 800,000 Floridians Medicaid that so desperately need it, Medicaid isn't enough. We need better health care because look, it's not just people who don't have health insurance, it's the underinsured. Underinsured is a major problem in this country. And I dare to say a lot of Floridians have that situation too. So those are my thoughts on the debate. Before we move on to another topic, I want to give you guys an exciting update. You ready for this? An exciting update. all 184 of you watching on the YouTube and all 20 of you watching on the Facebook. Dun 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 dun. Status Quo has its first sponsor. So we're moving along, baby. We have our first official sponsor. I'm excited to tell you that we have partnered up with Mike Goat. And no, it's not an actual goat, although I do like goats. Mike Goat is a video debate app. It's kind of new. I am getting used to it now, and I'm enjoying it. Mike Goat, basically what it does is it throws out issues and allows anyone to get up there and debate it. You could debate it via video on the app, or you could debate it, in written articles. So Jen, my business partner, who right now I think is picking up her kids from school, so she's not here in the chat. Sam is holding down the chat, but Jen, my business partner and also fellow Status Quo journalist, has started to write pieces for them, and I have started to do videos for them. So here is Jen's piece from today on Prop C. If you're unfamiliar with Prop C, it is a ballot measure in San Francisco that is going to, shocker, dare we say, going to raise taxes on CEOs like Jack Dorsey from Twitter, who are making more money than God, raise taxes by a very, very, very terrible 0.5% to help pay for the homelessness epidemic in San Francisco. And you're seeing homelessness in many, many gentrified cities around the country because they are pushing out middle class and working people. And those middle class and working people, in many cases, are becoming homeless. So Prop C is on the ballot in San Francisco, in California, to help pay for, give investment and funds to homeless, to get more homeless people off the streets, for enhanced mental health services for the homeless. So Jen wrote this piece, Prop C, San Francisco's homeless, and a tale of two billionaires, comparing Jack Dorsey's really, really terrible fear-mongering about Prop C. Again, the Twitter CEO, he is fear-mongering that a 0.5% increase in gross in gross revenue for these businesses will, they'll have to push jobs out of San Francisco and get rid of jobs, and it's going to hurt San Francisco. No, it's not. They're just greedy. They're just greedy. So that's one side of the debate, Jack Dorsey and Twitter. Another side of the debate is Salesforce. Salesforce is the biggest employer in San Francisco, and the CEO of Salesforce has been very, very pro Prop C, and he says it's a binary choice. Are the homeless, are you for the homeless or not for the homeless? For me, it's binary. The CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, said, and I am totally with him. So what you have to do, and this is going to help Status Quo if you go ahead and do this. On your phones, go to your apps, go to the App Store, and type in Mike Goat. Jen has actually put it in the description here. Jen has put it in the description here. So you want to go to Mike Goat, and you want to click on Status Quo, and join our community. There you could read Jen's 2 articles she has done for Mike Goat, as well as you could see the videos that I've done for Mike Goat, and you could get involved in the conversation and debate other people on the issues. To be clear, Mike Goat is aligned with our values for Status Quo. We said we are not going to be, taking money from the usual suspects, taking money from all the very outlets that are destroying this country, and we are not going to do that because I'd rather go sell out and work in public relations than be a corporate journalist and take corporate money. So Mike Goat, they believe they want to cover Silicon Valley and corruption with Silicon Valley. They also want to cover media bias and where the media is not doing its job. Both of those things work for me. So definitely go download Mike Goat, MICGOAT, right now if you can, or when we're off here, and go to Status Quo community. The more we boost Mike Goat, the more we boost ourselves. And we are looking, we are looking to build up as much as humanly possible. And part of that is getting sponsorship deals so that we can get more funding to get out in the field, so that we can get better equipment, so that we can boost everything. In the field reporting, expensive. That's why we're doing a GoFundMe. That's why we're seeking sponsor deals, those kinds of things. So thank you for doing that. Again, Mike Goat, MICGOAT. And here is the link to the article so you could read Jen's fantastic article. Blah, blah, blah. We'll put that in the description too. So definitely go either now or when I'm off for that. And I think it's important because I'm not going to talk about other organizations, but the bottom line is there are media outlets out there that claim to be progressive, but then get in bed with some entities that are not very progressive. We are being very vigilant that anyone we partner with, whether it's a sponsorship or some other collaboration, is aligned with our values. We are not taking shortcuts. We are not taking shortcuts, and we're not taking dirty money. Period. End of story. Cheryl Gibson, I got one for you, Jordan. They had an article on ghost ships from Iran, and I think it's all tied to the Saudi Arabia thing. What do you think? I think that's great. Maybe Jen is not here because she's picking up her kid. That comes first. But maybe we'll create a thing where you could send in your debate ideas for Mike Goat. But the first thing first. Download the app, Mike Goat, and join the Status Coup community. I think we're the featured app right now. So I'll remind you a few more times. And another announcement before I move to the next topic. We have passed. Oh, no, we haven't. Have we passed? Jen said we passed 13,000, but I don't see it. I don't think we've passed yet. We're $5 away from 13,000. So, premature celebration. Hold on. Yes. Okay. So, on to the next. And if you have any questions, we'll talk about Mike Goat at the end. But again, I like the app, and I think it's fantastic. It's a fantastic way to debate. It's not like cable news debate. It's actually like real debate, which I like. So, did I tell you that the majority of Democrats, the majority of Republicans support Medicare for all? I told you that in the last segment. So let me show you an interview Bernie Sanders did, which I think, when people are saying, oh, Bernie Sanders is too old to run for president, and Bernie Sanders, he's old news and blah, 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 blah. Listen to this message from Bernie Sanders. Hold on.
Crystal, that breaks my heart because I come from I love the rural way of life, and that in some 60%, we've got to fight and take away nutrition. Yeah.
This is pretty much.
Yes, so I think the choice in this election is about as clear as any congressional election in America.
Senator, Democrats have really lost pretty much all of rural America.
Yep.
This is a very rural district.
Yep.
It's very ag heavy, farm heavy. How do Democrats win back areas like this?
Crystal, that breaks my heart because I come from a very rural state and I love the rural way of life, and I am upset that in some 60% of rural counties in America we're losing population, schools are closing, churches are closing down, and we've got to rebuild rural America. And that means we need a national policy which, instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, invests in education in rural areas, good paying jobs in rural areas, so that our kids do not have to leave the communities they love and where they grow up. That's what we've got to do. And I know that JD is deeply concerned about that issue as well.
Yeah, JD, you come from a family of farmers. What are farmers here in the district telling you that they're concerned about? Because farm incomes were way down,
right,
even before this trade war.
Right.
So what's behind that? What are you talking to them about?
We've had 4 consecutive years of low commodity prices, even before the tariffs even got mentioned. And so we're out there talking about market consolidation and how farmers are getting squeezed on both the input side and the output side. We're talking about the renewable fuel standard being abused in D.C., the oil refinery waiver. That has depressed corn prices because of the carryover by up to 40 cents a bushel. And the last thing we talk about is the trade wars and how we're bearing the brunt, the 4th District, whether it's our manufacturing or it's our agriculture, and just bearing the brunt of this war. And it's just hurting this district pretty hard.
And I would add that in Vermont, it's, we don't do soybeans and corn, we do dairy.
And that's getting hit as bad as
Terrible.
anything.
We've had year after year of record low prices, and we're losing farmers every week, and it's a very, very sad state of affairs.
Senator, it's interesting that you say that because obviously there's a lot of hype in the news about low unemployment rates.
Hold on.
High stock market. But in a place like this, are they seeing those gains?
I mean, the truth is the economy is doing very, very well if you're very wealthy.
Yeah.
If you got a huge tax break, if you have a lot of money in the stock market, but a lot of people don't. And what we are seeing all over this country, in fact, is that for the average worker, they're going nowhere in a hurry. In many cases, they're working longer hours for low wages. And what we see, whether it's Vermont or Iowa, people can't make it on 10 or 11 bucks an hour. So the issue is...
Bernie, no! Hold on.
Low unemployment is a good thing, but we need jobs that pay people a living wage. We need to have a situation where people have health care, where they can send their kids to college, where they can provide child care for their little ones, and we don't have that now.
JD, do you worry at all about...
So, Bernie Sanders was there. He was campaigning for J.D. Shelton, I believe his name is. Hold on. J.D. Shelton in Iowa. No, that's not his name. J.D. Bernie. Yeah, oh, J.D. Shelton. Excuse me, J.D. Shelton, who I would definitely vote for because he's running against Steve King in Iowa. That Steve King, that Islamophobe, that lunatic, I would probably vote for, I'd vote for a pony, actually, over Steve King. So, J.D. Shelton, yeah. But why I'm showing you that clip is because all these people are saying Bernie Sanders is too old to run for president. All these people are saying we need somebody younger, out with the old, out with the new. Well, did you hear what he said on how Democrats can win back rural communities like Iowa? Did you hear what he said about Democrats going to campaign in places they have not complained? No, you didn't, because I didn't play it yet. What am I talking about? Here we go.
Senator Sanders come in here.
Jobs in a rural district like this. It's easy not to engage with us. We're earning votes.
Let me just pick up this. What JD said is exactly right. You ain't going to win if you don't show up. And the sad truth is that in many parts of this country, Democrats have kind of conceded those states to right-wing Republicans. But the other issue is, and JD also made this point, that if you look at most of the issues, I'm not going to say all, there are divisive issues in this country. If you talk about health care for all, you know what? That's what the American people want. Raising the minimum wage, making public colleges and universities tuition-free, or at least affordable. Rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure and creating good-paying jobs in doing that. You know what? That's what the American people want. It's not a radical idea. That's what the overwhelming majority of the American people want. So if JD goes out and he starts talking to thousands of people and says, this is what I stand for, they're going to say, yeah, well, it makes sense to me.
And right now when the farm...
This so-called old guy is the only person articulating an actual message to the very people that have left the Democratic Party. He's articulating a message to rural communities like Iowa, who have long abandoned the Democratic Party. He's articulating a message to the Rust Belt, who has long abandoned the Democratic Party. Remind you, Bernie Sanders won Wisconsin, won Michigan in the Democratic primary. He is articulating a message to blue-collar workers, Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage, better working conditions, which right now he is still going after Amazon. He didn't stop just because Amazon raised the minimum wage. He, and in fairness, Elizabeth Warren with him, is going after Amazon for their working conditions, which, by the way, we might be going into the field very soon to go cover Amazon's horrid Hunger Games-esque working conditions. So I keep hearing this, Bernie Sanders shouldn't run for president. You have Politico's hit piece. Bernie Sanders, his top staffers and people in his circle don't want him to run for president. First of all, that was bullshit, which I already reported. But this is the only politician in America actually articulating a message that resonates with the very people that have abandoned the Democratic Party. Yet we're told he shouldn't run. He shouldn't run. Too old, and, can't do it. Well, you tell me, did you hear his answer on how to win back rural communities? Did you hear his answer on, shocker, going into Republican districts, going into Republican states to try and win? Do you think it's a coincidence that Medicare for All is rising in popularities at the same time that Bernie Sanders has gone around this country into, say it with me, Republican states? Bernie Sanders has gone to Mississippi. Bernie Sanders has gone to Kentucky. Bernie Sanders has been to Ohio. Bernie Sanders has been to Wisconsin. Bernie Sanders has been to, I believe, he's been to Missouri. He's been to a lot of Republican states since losing election. Jen, if you're in the chat, tell Ty I'm live. He said he just called me. He doesn't apparently pay attention because he probably isn't getting a notification that I'm live. Shocker. So let him know that I'm live and I'll call him back. Poor Ty. Did you hear? If you're coming to this late, Ty, literally his neck is broken. He can't get out of bed. So we're trying to get him help. Thank you. A few people sent in messages with recommendations to help him. He's had severe neck problems into his shoulder and now arm for a few weeks now. So what I'm saying is, I don't care if Bernie Sanders is 200 years old. Well, maybe 200 is a little old. He's got the right message. He's got the courage of his convictions. He speaks to independents. He speaks to rural people. He speaks with city people. His popularity has also risen among black people. And he will bring out a massive, unprecedented young vote. You need young people to vote for you. Naturally, Malika, I just got a notification you were live. Hey, better 45 minutes in than never, right, Malika? Fucking YouTube. I call it FewTube. And there goes my monetization, so you're going to have to support me more. When you curse, they totally turn off monetization. So what are you going to do? This is a super chat as a reminder. Zachary Kirkpatrick, she loves to talk about how great markets would be with property regulations, but if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. I guess you're talking about Elizabeth Warren. Sway Ocean, I didn't get a notification, and I was on YouTube. Yep, welcome to the world of YouTube. Phil Presky, yes, fuck 'em. I say fuck 'em. There goes my money. There goes my monetization, so hopefully you can help a brother out. So I'm playing that clip because it is nonsense that Bernie Sanders shouldn't run for president. He's the only person actually articulating a message to the very people that have fled the Democratic Party. Okay? Oy vey. Oy vey. And thank you. I'm getting a few notifications that we have people joining Mike Goat. Again, the more Mike Goat grows, the more we grow. They are our first sponsor. So if you want to support us, support Mike Goat. It is a cool video app, and it's also you can read their stuff on their website. This is Jen's article. If you ain't supporting Jen, I don't want to hear from you. This is Jen's wonderful article published today on MikeGoat.com. So go check it out and download their app. So if you're coming to this late, by the way, I'm going to hawk this one more time. Do you see my new badass hat? Status Quo embroidered. Status Quo embroidered. There you go. With our little blue color in the sea. Get at me, GoFundMe. Get at me. Actually, no, the hat doesn't look terrible, I guess. So, I want to move on to a story that I covered in the field. Thanks to your GoFundMe contributions. What are we at now before I move on? We are at 13,005. Give me, say it with me now. Thank you. Who is that put us over? Devin, thank you for the $10 to put us over. We are now $2,000 away from our goal for October. I cannot thank the 216 people that have contributed, and I have a sneaking suspicion I will be doing a marathon live stream very, very soon to get us there. And Sway Ocean drops another $99.99. Sway, oh my God. I will keep cursing if you keep leaving $100. Thank you, Sway. I can't. That's your second. I think that's your second $99.99 today. Thank you. He says, free the censored language. Yes. Fuck YouTube. How about that? FuTube, I say. So thank you, and thank you for putting us at $13,000. To think, by the way, before I get to the next story, and you might be getting a little tired, but hey, if I don't hawk it, who's gonna hawk it? Okay? Here is our current YouTube numbers. You remember that I just told you we passed 20,000 subscribers? I think we passed 20,000 subscribers like last week. Well, apparently, it's getting old. We're about to hit 21,000 subscribers. See? 20,981. So if all goes according to normal plan, we'll be at 21,000 by the end of today. We started this channel at the end of February. 21,000 subscribers in less than 8 months. Thank you. It is because of you, our early supporters. Thank you. And let's keep this going, because although we plan on live streaming on our site, which is launching either this week or next week, we are going to keep going on YouTube because I need to stay fed. Jen needs to stay fed. We got rent to pay, kids to feed. Well, she's got kids to feed. I don't have any kids that I know of. So keep it coming. And we want to stay independent as always. So I want to, are we just assuming they'll have morals this time around? I don't know what you're talking about. I have morals. What is the website for Jen's articles? MikeGoat.com. Mike Goat. Here you go. MikeGoat.com. And don't just read the article. Go download the app and join the Status Coup community. I think we are the featured community there. And you could watch my video there and other stuff on Mike Goat. And I believe you could start your own video debates. So definitely support Jen, support me, and support Mike Goat. I always like the early supporters, the early viewers, the early sponsors. I do not forget. The North does not forget, if you're a Game of Thrones enthusiast. So, here we go. If you recall, when I was in Texas, in addition to covering the Botham Jean assassination, where a police officer basically intruded in on Botham Jean, a 26-year-old black man who was just hanging out in his apartment, shot him dead. There was also a 24-year-old named O'Shea Terry. He and his friend were pulled over for expired registration. Registration expired by 2 days. 2 days they pulled this guy over. The first police officer was relatively calm. He said, I smell weed in your car, blah, blah, blah. He admitted he had weed in his car. And she went back to her police car to enter in his name, his birthday, and other information, which the police do. I've been stopped before, and they go back to their car and enter things. Another police officer then was there at the passenger seat and said, we're going to have to search your car. O'Shea started driving away. Obviously, it wasn't the right thing to do, but fleeing should not be a death sentence in the United States. And police, most police departments, including Arlington Police Department, which I'm about to show you, the protocol is not to jump on the car. This officer jumped on his car as he was driving away and shot inside 5 times and killed him. So if you don't want to see it, look away, but this is a reminder of what happened.
Okay, what are you upset about? It's hot. Well, I'm staying outside here. You know? Like I say, if you don't have any more inside the vehicle, y'all should be worried about it. You know? We just have to do what we have to do. So that's basically it. Hey! Hey, stop! Sir! Stop the car, man! Stop the car! Hey, it's Jordan.
So that was the very, very horrifying image of what happened. That police officer had zero reason, absolutely zero reason to do what he did. And here was the police officer at the community meeting that we were there covering, dodging my questions.
What is the police procedure for a driver running away and not adhering to commands? Is it to shoot out their tires? Is it to get a helicopter, or is it to shoot into the car? What is the general protocol for that kind of situation?
So, in regards to your first question, I know that
Oh, and I should have said they refused to release the police officer's name. So that was one of my questions. Why is it that they have not released the police officer's name?
the community is frustrated that we haven't released his name. I hear that all the time from people. Why haven't we released his name? Why haven't we released his name? And I hear that. We've gotten threats. We're not prepared to release that information about what those threats are. I know that people feel that there is a double standard when it relates to the treatment of officers versus the treatment of people in the community. But at this point, we're just not prepared to release his name based on the information that we have. That doesn't mean that we won't release it later. But right now, we're just not prepared to do it. That doesn't mean that we won't. Okay? And I know that people are frustrated with that. But right now, that is our stance. And as it relates to your second question about what our tactics are, I don't want to be misquoted. So if you want to know what our tactics are, you're more than welcome to go and file an open records request to get a copy of what we teach as it relates to tactics and things like that and dealing with people on traffic stops.
So you don't want to be misquoted. You can't just generally say, is the protocol or the general process to shoot out a tire, to call for backup if they're driving away? I mean,
we have a variety of tactics at our disposal.
So blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. She couldn't simply answer what is the protocol. And she also wouldn't answer why is it that you will not release this officer's name. I've researched far and wide. I have not been able to find an example where the police for 45 days refused to release an officer's name. To me, there's two reasons you won't release an officer's name. Number one, that officer has a pretty bad record, and you want to come up with a story to try and save that officer. Number two, the officer might not have a very bad record, but you are trying to cover up the incident, and you're trying to set up a plausible explanation. So either way, it never made sense to me why they would not release this officer's name. But today, this was Friday night, they did release the officer's name. The Arlington Police Department has identified the officer involved in the shooting death of O'Shea Terry on September 1st. The officer who stopped Terry is Julie Herrely. That was the first officer I told you about. She didn't shoot him. She did not escalate the situation. She just went back to her car, entered his information. Again, he was pulled over with his friend for expired registration. The backup officer who was involved in the shooting is identified as Bao Tron, the department said in a news release just after 5 p.m. Friday. Terry, 24, was killed after trying to take off from a traffic stop on September 1st. Police said the criminal investigation into the shooting was completed on Wednesday and has been given to the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office. Throughout the criminal investigation, the involved officer did not provide a statement to the investigating criminal detectives, which is allowed by constitutional law, the release said. No affirmative findings have been reached at this stage as the Arlington Police Department awaits the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office decision to present the case to the full review of a grand jury. The administrative investigation to determine if Tran followed policies or not is still ongoing. Okay, so it took you 45 days. It took you 45 days to release the name of a police officer who jumped on a car that was driving away and shot inside of the car 5 times and killed a man. Well, Why exactly is the investigation not complete? Thank you, Phil. Just signed up for Mike Goat. We'll read Jen's article after the show. Thank you. And spread it to your friends, your family, and all those people. Tell me why after 45 days, I'm going to read it one more time. The administrative investigation determined if trans followed police policies is still ongoing. And no affirmative findings have been reached at this stage as the Arlington Police Department awaits the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office decision to present the case to the full review of grand jury. Well, as far as I could tell, folks, unless you saw something different, O'Shea Terry nor the passenger had a gun pointed at that officer. O'Shea Terry nor his friend, the passenger, Terrence Harmon, who's going to have PTSD for the rest of his life. My interview up with him, where he talks about that he literally can't sleep. He's so traumatized, is up on this channel. There was zero threat to that officer. Zero. He was driving away. Now, you could say he shouldn't have driven away. I've said he shouldn't have driven away. That's not a death sentence, and that's not legal grounds by a police officer to jump on a car and shoot 5 times. So the administrative investigation still ongoing. The criminal investigation, they haven't made a decision about the grand jury. Well, let me solve the case for you. How about I solve the case? Detective Chariton, you ready? Okay? What is the protocol for an Arlington Police Department cop? What is the protocol? What are they trained to do? What does their guidebook tell them to do in the event that someone is fleeing? Here we go. Officers will not discharge a firearm at or from a moving vehicle, except when the suspect is using deadly force against the officer or others by means other than the vehicle, or when all other reasonable means of defense have failed. Officers will not place themselves in a position in front of an oncoming vehicle where deadly force is a likely outcome. One more time. Will not discharge a firearm at or from a moving vehicle except when the suspect is using deadly force against the officer or by other means than the vehicle. Well, Arlington Police Department. You see at the bottom? That's the Arlington Police Department. So it's right there. We know what the protocol is. We know if what was the term they use? An administrative investigation to see if he, quote, followed the policies or not. That's taking you 45 days. It's right there. Of course he wasn't following the policies. Not only should this officer's name should have been released right away, but he should be fired. It is an insult to the Terry family. It is an insult to the black community in Arlington and throughout Texas and around this country that he has not been fired. And he should be in jail waiting for trial. You saw the video. I saw a commenter say it's inappropriate to show the video. People could Google it. I disagree. I don't want to show the video. I don't want, it's a terrible thing to have to show, but some people might not have heard the story, and you need to see what these white officers are doing to really understand the story. So, sorry, got to show it. So, bottom line, it's black and white. No pun intended. It is black and white. This officer jumped on a car that was driving away. There was not a gun pointed at him. There was nothing pointed at him. There was zero risk to his life. And he was irrational and impulsive and killed a man, a black man. Why is there an investigation going on? Why, if there is an investigation going on, has it taken 45 days to locate the Arlington Police Department handbook and training module to see he had no legitimate reason to do what he did? None. So either these people are fucking idiots, cursed again, or there's a cover-up going on. And there is a cockamamie, fakakta story that they are plotting to come up with to make it palatable that this officer was in fear of his life. I don't know what that story could be because the video is very clear. The video is very clear. But there's zero reason that this officer shouldn't have been fired. The fact that this officer is being paid, he is still being paid. Yes, he's handed in his gun and his badge, but he's still being paid. And Mish-O, an automobile is a deadly weapon, not one that's driving away from you. That's not a deadly weapon. It says it right there. It says it right there. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's corrupt. It's corrupt. I'm happy I went down there thanks to your GoFundMe contributions because I didn't know about it. The corporate media certainly isn't covering it. Corporate media certainly isn't covering it. So I'm going to keep following up on this case. I'm going to keep following up on the Botham Jean case. I'm also going to do some research and try and get a hold of this officer's prior records because I have a sneaking suspicion there's some dirt in there. And that's the reason they wouldn't release his name, not because there were threats against the police department. So there you have it. 45 days it's taken to release the guy's name, and still they aren't done with an investigation, even though it's clear to any logical person that that officer had zero threat against him. Oh, a vehicle can be a deadly weapon. Of course it can be, but that vehicle was not driving at him, obviously. Phil, can we see Jen in a status quo shirt again? Come on, Jordan. Phil, don't be naughty. Don't you be naughty. Well, by the way, Phil and everybody else, and Jen's not going to like that I'm saying this, but sometimes you gotta say it. I am taking a long planned vacation in December. If you don't know, I was scheduled to go on vacation end of November last year. But obviously I was fired from my job and I couldn't go on vacation because I couldn't spend the money. So I'm going on a vacation in December, and Jen, although she's not going to want to, she will be going on air in my absence. So there you go. You'll be seeing plenty of Jen on this channel while I am laying in a hammock on a beach far, far away. I'm not telling you when, and I'm not bringing my laptop. I'm unplugging for 8 days. So hopefully everybody can handle it. But Jen will be here. She doesn't love going on camera yet, but I know you'll support her. Yes, I'm using my points and going for free. I don't want you to think that I have a lot of money. I don't. I have credit card points that I've accumulated. So thank you, Jen, for that. I have very little money. I'm using all credit card points. So, Europe vacation, not Europe, Central America. Central America. So if anybody lives in Central America, let me know. Now, one last story. And again, I know that we're asking a lot, folks. We're asking a lot. But we're doing this for status quo. So we're at 13,005 in the GoFundMe. We definitely are pushing to get to 15,000 by the end of October. We have 9 days, and I think we could do it. So if you can't contribute, please share this GoFundMe. Obviously, it's difficult to keep the urgency going for something that's been, I think we've been in like a month and 2 weeks now. But the fact that we have raised $13,000, we are very, very grateful. For 216 people, extremely grateful. And we want to keep it going. So definitely, if you got a few, whether it's $10, $15, $20, whatever it is, feel free. GoFundMe.com/status-coup-news. And also, $100 gets you a hat or a shirt. $127 gets you both. We're doing swag bags for $200. And I didn't even show you. We now have Status Quo stickers. How badass is that? Put that on your laptop or car and smoke it. I like them. I like those. They're badass. I'll tell you, this Jen, she knows how to order things in bulk. So, final story. Trump's a madman, obviously, and he, is really pushing hard on the Islamophobia in these last weeks before the election. But apparently, he might say, if the Democrats win, to hell with it. It's illegitimate. Here we go. Ay vey. After you watch this ad.
In that war? It's not just President Trump who's winning that war. It's the forces of those who believe in untruth. And paramount among those forces is Donald Trump and the way he looks at the world. Look, we have had presidents in the past who have lied. There's no question about that. But what we have never had is a president of the United States who uses lying and untruth as a basic method to promote his policies, his beliefs, and his way of approaching the American people and engaging with the world. That his default position is to use untruth to go toward his objectives. And the best example of it in this horrible week in which we are dealing with the Khashoggi murder is the body slamming incident where the President of the United States again ripped side of the equation. Objective in policy and who we are through social media, through the press. But I want to suggest that particularly news institutions, and particularly on television, cable news, underlying questions as reporters and present real repression. It certainly would appear that that is part of it. Also, I mean, I talked to people in the White House or in touch with the White House on Friday who believe that if the congressional midterms are very close and the Democrats were to win by 5 or 7 seats, that Trump is already talking about how to throw legal challenges into the courts, sow confusion, declare a victory, actually, and say that the election has been illegitimate, that is really under discussion in the White House. I was told that on Friday. That, too, is a story we ought to be going after, and I trust that really good reporters are going after that story. But I want to get back to this.
So, sorry, when Ty is better, he's actually going to start operating the live stream while I'm live. So we'll already have the clips ready to go rather than me trying to find stuff. So I'm doing my best to be an on-air broadcaster and show you the clips, but it's difficult. We did just purchase a program that allows Ty to remotely do it, so we're excited about that. Unfortunately, Ty can barely get out of bed right now because his neck is messed up, so we'll improve that production as soon as we can. So I think Carl Bernstein, for the most part, great on Watergate, legendary, but since then hasn't done much. But his reporting is usually right. So Trump, who I don't cover that much because what do I have to offer that everybody else, the herd of sheep that are following Donald Trump, his tweets, his farts, what he ate for dinner, this is dangerous. This is dangerous, and I actually could see this happening. If the Democrats win the House, the fact that Trump would not accept it as legitimate, the fact that Trump would start throwing in court challenges, the fact that Trump would start, claiming the Republicans won is very, very dangerous because he has a base of supporters that, frankly, have been brainwashed. He has a base of supporters that, many of whom, I have seen it up close, interviewing his supporters on the campaign trail and after, that are prone to violence, are prone to confrontation, and are prone to believe this man and follow him into holy hell. So it is dangerous that I think I don't have a reason to doubt what Bernstein is saying. I think his sources are good, that you have a president basically planning a full-scale propaganda campaign if they lose, to create havoc and to make it seem like it's some evil conspiracy and the Democrats didn't really win. Now, whether you want the Democrats to retake the House or not is a different discussion. But it's very, very dangerous talk. Trenton says, Jordan, thanks for the hard work. Under the circumstances of not a lot of resources and manpower, I work so you're informed and you're activated. So thank you for the kind words. Get real. That doesn't excuse taking Trump's relentless bait. I don't know what bait I'm taking, or are you talking about somebody else? Sway Ocean, death of a democracy. It is. I mean, we haven't had a democracy for a long time in this country. It's a bought-off, legalized auction. It's a legalized auction. It's a legalized auction and has some mafia components to it. But the bottom line is, this could get out of control really quickly. So if the Democrats do have a pretty decent chance of taking the House, if they take the House by, like you said, 5 or 7 seats, and you have a president that's declaring victory for the Republicans, and you're going to possibly have him stoking violence, stoking his supporters to go out and basically not accept the results of the election. That is a dangerous situation. That's going from people being lunatics on Twitter to potentially people being lunatics in the street. And that's dangerous. I think a lot of things are overblown about Trump. I think a lot of things, it's made that he's the worst thing since sliced bread, and he's the most dangerous thing, and we forget Obama wasn't so great, and we forget that before Trump came in, the country was messed up too. That's all good and well, but a president foreshadowing and setting up basically a propaganda campaign that can actually basically delegitimize our elections, delegitimize the results. I mean, they're already doing everything they can to suppress the black vote and to purge black people off the rolls. We're seeing it in Georgia. It's happening in Florida. It's happened in, I believe, what was the state I was just looking at? Hey, I'll do a segment on all the places that are having voter purchase. Oh, Indiana, Nebraska. I've reached out to Greg Palast to do an interview. He's done great reporting on this, finding all sorts of voter shenanigans. He sued Brian Kemp, the Secretary of State of Georgia, who is also running for governor. So you have the Secretary of State of Georgia purging tens of thousands of black people. And gee golly, he's a white Republican running for governor against a black Democrat. Would be the first black governor of Georgia. So Greg Palast is doing great work. Haven't heard back from him on that interview. So start the pressure campaign. Love Greg Palast. But, I mean, the Democratic Party needs to start fighting this now. Journalists need to starting this now. People need to stop allowing Trump to basically lie with every breath. And then as he lies, because he has so many lies, oh, you can't keep up. So we move on to the next thing. Stay on him. Jerry Ross, how come I wasn't notified of you going live? Jerry, I've established a new troll notification system. Some trolls are notified later than everybody else. So you won't be getting notifications early, Jerry. I hope you don't mind. But you're welcome. I haven't blocked you, Jerry. I don't block. Even though you work for Dakota Access Pipeline. Neolon, Greg Palast rules. I agree. I've met him. I interviewed him when I was at the Young Turks, and I'd like to interview him on all the purging going on. So definitely let him know. Jordan wants to interview you. For sure. So, as I end, oh, look at this. 20,985. So hopefully tomorrow will be at 21,000 as I come live to you. As I end, I want to remind you, definitely go to MikeGoat.com. Read Jen's great article on the Prop C debate. Prop C is a ballot measure in San Francisco that will make, poor Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, and poor Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and so poor YouTube, make them pay an extra 0.5% of their revenue in taxes, so that we could actually help the insane crisis of homelessness in San Francisco. Of course, Jack Dorsey of Twitter is against it, but Mike Goat is our first sponsor for Status Coup. We really, they have a great vision. It's a debate app, so you could get on there, join the Status Coup community, watch my videos, reach read Jen's articles. You could set up debates, and I think it's a good app, and they have a really good message, and they're aligned with our values, which is very important to us in any partnerships or sponsorships we do. So it's good to finally get on the board with a sponsorship, and we are going to keep that going. As a reminder, I hate to knock it over your head. We are definitely, we're not slowing down with this GoFundMe. So the more help from you, the more contributions from you, the more real journalism we can do. So we just passed 13,000 during this live stream. We're at 13,005. Our goal is to get to 15,000 by the end of October. So that gives us 9 days. It's going to take a little work. If you can't contribute, definitely share it as much as possible. We already went to Dallas, and once Ty's neck is working a little better, we will be getting back in the field, and we are going to have the website going. We were going to launch it this week. Jen today was working on some things. It might take us into next week, but it's coming out this week or next week for sure. So thank you for watching. Thank you for the 216 people that have contributed to the GoFundMe. And as always, it's not that most people in America are not lacking compassion. Most people have no fucking idea what the hell is going on. Peace out.